It's got plenty of clearance of the hard part so you can really lean it over. Okay, that scared the out of me. Hey, what's up everybody? My name is Josh. Welcome to my garage. Welcome to the channel. It's funny because this channel is actually 6 years old and my first upload was from my Yamaha FZ07 pretty much right after I got it. And it's crazy to think, you know, I've been through several motorcycles now, thousands of miles of commuting on bikes, including in some pretty inclement weather. Prior to watching YouTube videos about motorcycles, I never had interest in riding. The bug bit me, and here I am all these years later, and I finally started riding motorcycles on track. Hope you enjoy this video. Last week I was out at the track again, and I ran into the S Cycles Indian racing team. And these guys were preseason testing their 2022 Indian Challenger, which is their entry in the King of the Bagger series. So I got to chat with some of the engineers and with the riders, and I got to watch them tearing around Atlanta Motorsports Park. These guys were putting in lap times of 1 minute and 24 seconds, and it's hard to, you know, put that into perspective, but I'm about 20 seconds a lap slower on my Ninja 400. These guys were absolutely ripping it. And so it got my wheels turning. All right, we're on our way to the track, and I think it's a good opportunity to do a street review of this FTR 1200 S Race Replica. This is the 2019 model, and so it was kind of the top of the line version. The MSRP on this bike was $17,000. And really, I guess my first point about this bike is that, yeah, it's a premium bike. It's priced high, and so I don't think that you're gonna buy this bike unless you really love the styling. And I happen to really, really love the styling. And that's probably the #1 reason that I bought it, if I'm being honest. But I also bought it because it's known for having a lot of character, and that kind of comes from the bike's pedigree, because it was designed as a sort of race replica version of Indian's FTR 750, which they introduced in 2017 and promptly went on to win a whole bunch of flat track races with that bike. I think I read that by 2020 they had won 50 races with the FTR 750. So I think they kind of earned the right to proudly put out a race replica version. That said, I don't know that anybody who buys this bike is going to buy it so that they can flat track it. Somebody might, but I certainly won't. And, you know, really it's a standard motorcycle, so it's meant for kind of all around everyday street use. But like I said, it's got this hooligan character, and that comes down to the motor, which is a 1200cc V-twin that puts 112 horsepower to the wheel at 8,300 RPM. But the real story about the motor is not the horsepower, which is definitely competitive, it's the torque. It makes 80 foot-pounds of torque at, I think, 6,000 RPM, but 75% of that is available off of idle, and so there's just this shelf of meaty torque that's available everywhere. That's what you're using all the time on the street. I am frequently sitting in 4th gear, you know, like I am now, and let's get down to, you know, 45 miles an hour. You just get on it, and holy crap, it just goes, and suddenly you're doing miles an hour in what feels like the blink of an eye. And pretty much every gear, everywhere in the RPM range, the bike does the same thing. It's really, really impressive. It's also got a 19-inch front wheel, 18-inch rear with kind of flat track inspired Dunlop tires, and that influences the handling. The bike's got a lot of suspension travel. You're up kind of high. I'm 6'1" and I've got plenty of room on this bike. It's really comfortable for me. I'm not cramped at all. But I've read that on the track, because of the ride height, it's got plenty of clearance of the hard part, so you can really lean it over. And the handling is really, really good, kind of surprisingly so. This is the S model, so it's got the Brembo brakes. Brakes feel great. The throttle is electronic, and it feels a little bit artificial. And the bike is known to have issues with fueling down low in the RPM range. I put a link pipe on this one and a tune, which resolved the fueling issue, and also just kind of bumped up the exhaust in terms of how loud it is. Not to a crazy level, but to the point where it snarls and sounds good, and you can really hear it when you open it up. so that's kind of the sweet spot for me. But of course the big question is, what's it going to be like on track? This isn't a bike that I would look at and say, hey, that's going to be a great track day bike, but I suspect that I'm about to have a ton of fun with it. I'm super excited to get out there and find out. Hey Jim.
Josh?
Yes sir.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good. Did you always have an Indian?
I've had it for 4 or 5 months.
I like it a lot.
All right, the moment of truth has arrived. I'm about to go out for my first session. It's about 55 degrees out already, which was warmer than I was expecting. It's actually really nice out here, so I'm feeling good about that. How are you, my friend?
Good. Whenever you're ready, we're ready to go.
All right, awesome, man. Appreciate it. All right. Uh-oh. GoPro mount shifted a little bit on me. I did not convert this to GP shift. I didn't even research whether it was possible. Now I'm kind of wishing I had. Okay, that might be entering the danger zone. Okay, so the whole mount rotated. Gonna have to come into the pits real quick and get that sorted. I'm probably also gonna need to air down the tires a little bit. All right, take 2. I believe I have the ram mount in a position where it cannot fail. Famous last words. I dropped the front pressure and the rear pressure a good bit. So now we're 30 front, 32 rear, warm. I like the brake feel on this a whole lot better than the Ninja. The Ninja's just got that single rotor, but this bike weighs 40% more than the Ninja and should be getting hauled down from higher speeds. You can feel the rear squirming a little bit. Yeah, I'm missing the shift into second for whatever reason. That's happened several times now. That time I got it. Whew. Okay, that scared the shit out of me. Got the maximum lean angle. Initial thoughts. Gets the blood pumping. My best lap so far, 159. Not going particularly quick out there yet. Sure enough, I ground that foot peg. These can be removed and that would give me a little more clearance. It's an hour later, session number 2. I've had a little time to reflect on things, and you know, especially given that I scraped the peg already, but my lap time was a 159. The place to focus is not on cornering speed right now. It's on giving it a bit more throttle in the places where I can take advantage of the power. Man, it has turned into an absolutely beautiful day. I redline this thing so rarely on the street that I'm not used to the sound it makes, and so I'm tending to leave it a lot lower in the RPM range than I probably need to. It is scary fast for me right now in my track riding career. That is fast. Don't scrape the peg. I don't know what just happened there. The ABS kicked in, I think. Luckily I didn't panic or do anything stupid, but that was an interesting sensation. Last time I kind of scared myself under cornering. This time I scared myself under braking. All right. 157. That's not fast. All right, had to stop and get some fuel, but we should be good to go for session number 3. The final session of the day. There is plenty of room to improve, but I'm still not ready to push it. This bike is intimidating on track. The wind has picked up quite a bit, so I think it might actually be cooling off here. I've left the bike in the standard ride mode. If you put it in race mode, it's going to allow a certain amount of wheel spin with the traction control, and that's not really what I want. I adjusted the brake lever again, and now it feels just about right. I think your goal when you're out on the track on a bike is for the bike to disappear. You have to get really familiar with the bike and how it behaves before that can happen. I think this bike will take a while. It just has an obscene amount of power available, and you feel like you tap into it at your own risk because you got to pay for it on the braking end. Whew. It is a handful. I did get to the point in that session where I wasn't thinking so much about what I was doing. I was starting to feel like I was getting the hang of the bike, but man, it's a rush. Whew. Managed a 158. That a little disappointing. Oh man, look at that Ford GT. Man. All right, heading home from the track, so let's wrap it up. Bottom line, is this an excellent track day bike? No. Is it a surprisingly good track day bike for what it is? Yes. Am I interested in kind of pursuing the performance limits of this bike on the track? Not really. The power is amazing. The brakes are great. You know, the suspension feels really good, and it is adjustable, and you know, I could probably get it feeling better on track by dialing it in. But I think that would be sort of pushing the bike in a direction that it's not really comfortable going. What this bike is great for is being an absolute hooligan out on the street, and that's why I bought it. And having taken it out on track and kind of understanding what it can do a little bit better, I'm more impressed with it now than I've ever been. And if you're considering one of these, I highly recommend it. I've really enjoyed taking it to the track today. Maybe I'll do it again sometime, I'm not sure. I want to thank you guys for coming along for the ride. I hope you'll be back, and hope you learned something and enjoyed yourself. I'll see you next time.